Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Friday PreMarket Prep. Spencer Israel, Joel Elconin, Dennis Dick with you this morning. Well, if you thought the market was uncertain before about the election, wait till you see what the writers have in store for us now. You've all heard the news by now. The president and the first lady have tested positive for COVID-19. And the market, as you would imagine, is reacting. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We do have some other things. We have the jobs number. We have Tesla deliveries just out, but the market is down because of the overnight news. We're going to talk about just the implications of this news, what it means for markets, what it means for stocks, what it means for everything here, and how we're reacting to it this morning. Our guest is Jason Raznick. It's a great day to have Jason on this show because Jason tested positive, and Jason and his family had this virus about a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago. So we're going to get Jason's thoughts at around 8:40 today on having the virus and just sort of talk us through what he went through. So it's a good day for that. And yeah, that's the show, basically. That's the structure of the show. That's what we're going to do. Joel, how are we doing this morning? I mean, I know how we're doing, but tell us what exactly is going on here in the overnight or in the pre-market session.
Good morning, traders and investors here on this uncertain Friday morning. We are in the red. We're in the red by 51 handles, 51.75 at 33.16. We were hanging out near the highs from the last 2 days until the news hit. Pre-market low is 3,300 and a quarter. We're just hanging out here, 15 handles above that. A couple things. We have the low from Monday, which was Friday's close at 3190. So that's good support. We also have a jobs number, if anybody really cares. We have that coming up. So that could be something, could be a catalyst in the market today. We have crude. Crude's in the red. $1.43. 2-day move, moving down towards that lower 36 handle in the crude market. Gold initially got a pop on the news, but is now in the red by 380 at 1912.40. And silver's in the red too by 16. Let's call it 17 cents at 24.07. And Bitcoin, no flight to quality here. Risk off asset. That's down $150 at 10,495. Triple D, let's bring you in here. And boy, oh boy, you could factor a lot of things into your trading and your analysis and whatnot, but not good news. Not good news at all.
Nobody wants to see this. I mean, it was inevitable that we're going to see some big figures get this. Now, the president, obviously, and it's the biggest figure you can get to get coronavirus. I mean, it's hard. It's the way, obviously, market's selling off significantly on the headline news. It's going to be about going forward on how he recovers from this. So if he bounces back quickly, I could see how this could actually end up being a positive event for the market, saying, look, this COVID thing, we've got, an older person who is obviously, in more susceptible to having complications. And, he bounced back quickly. So, but, if he doesn't bounce back quickly, then that's obviously a significant issue. Biden is going to be tested today. We just got news that Pence has been tested and is negative. The market popped a little bit, about 4 or 5 points when that broke. But now we're starting to leak it here again. So the uncertainty here is why the market's selling off significantly. It's going to be on Trump headlines going forward here for the significant future. I mean, not only from the election, but now from the COVID standpoint. So it's all going to be about Trump here for the next month, and that's going to dictate the market movement. He bounces back quickly, the market could bounce back. If he starts to show like he's getting sicker, this market's going to continue to sell off. So now we're reliant not on technical indicators so much, but reliant on the president's health.
And so many things here. I mean, what if he is asymptomatic and is fine, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if
Well, that's what we hope for.
We don't know anything. So like, what if he's totally fine? Then this morning's dip is just another dip to be bought. I mean, the market's going to catch on fire if that's the case. And so how I'm approaching this is you need to have, if you're a trader, you need to have Trump's Twitter feed open at all times. You need to have it, give it a permanent real estate on your screen, because what I think is going to happen is the market's going to become sensitive, more sensitive to his Twitter and his Twitter activity. So if Trump is tweeting like he normally is, then the market's going to say, oh, he must be fine. If Trump goes a day or more without tweeting at all, then the market's going to freak out. They're going to assume the worst, right? So just how I'm approaching this is just I'm giving his Twitter feed permanent real estate on my screens.
It's not a bad idea.
I'm just going to watch it, not so much for like what he says, but just how much is he saying. If he's saying a lot of things, if he's on there all the time like he usually is, then to me that's an indicator that he's
feeling good,
feeling okay. And if he's not tweeting, then, because look, the way I see it is you could choose to believe this or not, right? That's your decision that he has COVID. But why would any president a month, or any candidate for president a month before the election, sacrifice their ability to campaign, essentially, right? He can't campaign now with a month to go.
Yeah.
So why would anyone do that?
Yeah. I think, the conspiracy theories, and I've had, multiple people reaching out saying that, oh, this is just to get a sympathy vote. But the point you're making is, I think, weighs more than that, is why would you go to this length to try to get a sympathy vote and then jeopardize your ability to campaign? So I don't think this is a conspiracy that, he doesn't have COVID. He's probably got COVID. And we don't know just if he's people are speculating, oh, he's asymptomatic. Well, nobody knows. We don't know if he's symptomatic or asymptomatic. We don't know. As we get more clarity on that, that is going to dictate the market's direction. So just as, we were looking at the virus for direction in the market back in February and March, we now look to Trump's health for direction in this market as well. If you're trading technically, I'd say you throw that out the window, because it doesn't matter at all. I mean, this is the one thing, and people say, oh, you can just use technicals. You've got to use other things, because I don't care what the hell the chart looked like. President comes down with COVID, stocks are going down. So, fundamental news, macro news, Trump news, Trump's, pun intended, Trump's technicals all day. Technicals work well in the absence of news. When you start to get major news headlines, technicals take a back seat. So as of right now, we're going to be trading off of headlines on Trump's health, Pence's health, Biden's health.
Yep,
I mean, because Biden was in the same room, he's going to be tested. I mean, if Biden comes down and is positive, the market's going to take a huge dip. So if Biden comes back and he's not positive, maybe it gets a little relief rally. We just saw a 5-point rally, about 7:35 when we found out that Pence was tested negative.
Right.
But it's now dependent on headlines about the president's health, and that's a tricky market to trade.
Exactly. So I'm sorry, Joel, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Spence. Go ahead.
I was going to say, all we have to go off of really is look at British stocks back in March when Boris Johnson had coronavirus, right? He tested positive.
He was very sick, right?
He was out of work for a month. He was in the hospital for a week. He was in, I think, the ICU for a week. And he was out of work from March 27th to April 27th. And him being out did not, according to YouGov, which is a British market research and polling company, that didn't prompt an uptick or in support for the government. So if you're thinking that maybe there's going to be like a sympathy vote here or a sympathy move, that didn't happen in the UK. Or in England when Boris Johnson got sick. So I wouldn't necessarily bet on that being a factor here. But again, very different situations now. We're a month before.
Yeah.
So
I
don't know.
Let's say before this happened, I'm going to speak technical, and I'm going to support my technicals with fundamentals. When I looked at technicals, I do my levels over the weekend, and we had a new quarter and everything. And what my technicals told me was uncertainty. taking the quarterly levels, what we did at the end of the month, it gave me a level that, and I'm just going to call it 330. And that level is going to be my level for the month. And I was just thinking, how many times are we going to trade through? Like, how am I going to determine whether we're holding 330 or breaking down? Because that's my quarterly number. And I was just thinking about, oh my God, we could trade through that thing 150 times. So what time basis can I look at it on? And I don't know. I really don't, because you could get, obviously, for the last few days, you could get chopped up doing it. There's uncertainty in this market. There was uncertainty before this, and this is even, this is like triples the uncertainty. So I think it's going to be very difficult. I think the market, before this happened, didn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just going to be it, and now it throws even more things on uncertainty. So, can I trade smaller? Can I use, bigger stops or whatever? I think this is going to be a month to remember, and going into the election, and I don't think I've ever seen so much uncertainty in this world. And I kind of felt that way before this happened. So this adds another layer to it. I'm not bailing out of my long-term portfolio. I'm not trying to short the world. I'm not trying to load up on calls.
Mm-hmm.
I think if there's a time in the market, Dennis, you do your short-term trading, you hedge, it's probably not going to change for you. But, if you're a gunner and you're Momo and you're going which way and that way and everything, I think you might need just to pull in the reins a little bit. There's a lot of uncertainty out here. One thing the market doesn't like is uncertainty.
I mean, you look here, and what have we been saying for the last week? We predicted shop. We predicted that the fade trade would probably work better than going with the Momo trade in the next 6 weeks because of all the election uncertainty. Now we add a whole nother layer of uncertainty on top of it all. So I think you're fully buying dips and selling rips all over the place. Right now, the stocks, if I was buying the dip this morning, and I am on certain stocks, I'm picking on the stocks that were showing strength yesterday, but I am also picking on the stocks that are the stay-at-home plays, because we have that uncertainty to a certain extent here today. And you were seeing a lot of stocks just baby thrown out with the bathwater, call it right now. But you're seeing all the stay-at-home plays down. I mean, Zoom is trading down. Peloton is trading down. Full disclosure, I've bought some Peloton already this morning on the dip because it was strong yesterday. And I think the money just probably flows right back into those stay-at-home plays. So I think, if we look just this morning, the Qs are relatively weak. IWM is trading higher, only down 1.5%. Qs are down 2%. I would not be surprised if that started to go the other way. If the market, does the playbook like it has, where when we get COVID uncertainty, it hits the reopening trade, and they go right back into the stay-at-home trade. So the video games, the Zooms, the Pelotons, the Teladoc, some of the tech names, I mean, those could turn around. With that being said, when you got the market down this much, everything is going to go down. So, and obviously we're going to get a jobs number here in 15 minutes, and that could change things as well. What does this jobs number look like? I think it takes a back seat now to the president's health, but it's going to be market moving. So I continue to think that the fade trade is the way to play this. And I'm going to continue to play it that way.
Yeah, to your point about everything going down, pretty much everything is down this morning, as Joel pointed out, except for gold and the TLT, I guess. And the first thing I did was look at like the IBB and look at your stay-at-home plays, just see what was going on there. So yeah, Netflix, they're all down this morning. But Dennis, you're saying that you would buy the dip in those before buying the dip. And
yeah, if you want to go and buy the dip, I think it's in the stocks that were working yesterday. And what an interesting setup. And people, I had multiple texts: are you buying Rocket? Are you buying Rocket? And I already am in Rocket, but I wasn't going to chase it up at 20. It was trading 23 last night after hours and chasing up 22.66. Well, you know what? You're getting a second shot at Rocket here this morning. It's down 5%, and I'm already in it. But if you're not in it and you wanted to be in it, you saw that big move yesterday, I mean, I would buy yesterday's leaders if I'm buying the dip. I'm not saying, that this is the bottom, we got to come in and buy the dip. I'm saying if you are so inclined, I would be buying the stocks that were performing well yesterday. I would be picking on those stocks. So I would pick on Rocket, meaning if I was buying the dip, I would buy that. I've already said I've bought the dip on Peloton because I think the stay-at-home thing just continues to work. And I don't see why Peloton, which made a new all-time high yesterday, all of a sudden gets slammed with, when we're starting to worry about the virus again. I think it's probably the stock that gets picked up. Zoom, same story. It's down here. I haven't bought it, but I mean, it's already starting to show life from the pre-market lows. So you're already starting to see that trade to a certain extent. Is it a crowded trade? That's an issue. It probably is a little bit crowded, but that's a trade that continues to work when we get worried about the virus. So I'm just going back to the well and doing what has worked in the past.
I just want to clarify, when you said stocks that were working yesterday, you did not mean stocks like Bed Bath & Beyond, right?
No, I would stay away. Like Boeing was working yesterday to a certain extent before it started to leak, and now Boeing is down significantly. I know it was the Kramer love that gave it the pop, and Kramer now it's down $8 from where Kramer was saying go and buy it. He's a victim of just a bad headline. The reopening trade is off all of a sudden. Like, I mean, look at the cruise lines. CCL down 4.5%, relatively weak. NCLH down 4.5%. American Airlines down 3.5%. You can clearly see it that there's relative weakness in the reopening stocks, and I think there'll still be some relative strength. We're not seeing it too much this morning here yet, but we're starting to see it materialize, where we're starting to see Zoom move up here. I mean, Zoom's only down 1.3% now. Where was Zoom earlier this morning, Joel? Zebra Michael. It got down earlier.
To 468.
Yeah, so you're already 10 points off the low. So this trade has already started. It started around 6 o'clock this morning, where, okay, people are getting silly. Zoom is a stock that people flock into when there's COVID uncertainty. So going back to the well, those are the stocks that are probably going to work. So not saying nothing works 100% of the time. And as traders, you're always just going, and I'm quantitatively looking for an edge. I mean, it might turn around. Maybe, we get a jobs number that in 12 minutes, it changes everything. New fundamental news can change an opinion. As a short-term trader, you have to be able to change your opinion very quickly. But what we're seeing already materialize this morning is some of these typical stay-at-home stocks already, at 8:30 in the morning, starting to show some life. So you look at like a Take-Two down 2.5% here this morning. That might be a stock that I would be inclined to buy the dip on. I already own it. Activision Blizzard had news. They had a game delay, so I might stay away from that one. But these are stocks to think about, because these are stocks that have worked in the past when we've been worried about the virus.
Yeah, Joel, go ahead.
Small tangent here, because you mentioned Take-Two, and I have not been able to find the article. But the brief time that I was in the car yesterday, listening to sports radio, they were coming up with statistics of what's people born after 97. That's Gen Z, right?
Gen Z, yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
And what you had talked about, Dennis, and like people migrating away from sports into like gaming, e-gaming, and sports like that. The statistics that I heard are just startling as far as where the Gen Zers are going. There's a good percentage of Gen Zers that could care less about the NFL, the NBA, going to ballparks, going to tailgates. They like the video games. I mean, that's a whole we're talking about a generational shift here. And, you've talked about the Take-Two and the Activision and things like that. And I think we're, the next generation, we're huge sports fans. I know Spencer, you grew up the same age as my daughter, Dana, but boy, oh boy. I mean, the statistics were absolutely startling. And then you watch that baseball, you know what? That baseball, those playoffs, I mean, I literally fall asleep. I mean, they're so boring. And
I always fall asleep during baseball games.
I was up till 1 a.m. the other night watching the Yankee game. I mean, it went late, but yeah, to your point, Joel, it can take a while. It is a generational shift.
And you're making a good point. And that's why, in my long-term portfolio, I've got a lot of video game makers there. And I've got, some of these others, because I think you're correct. Like, I don't think people are just, not going to like sports anymore. There's always going to be people who like sports, and there's always going to be people who don't like sports. But I think the point you're making is that the gaming trends, which, probably, got reignited from COVID, I don't think go away after COVID is taken care of. I think this is a trend. And then people are like, I like playing these video games. You hooked a few people. So that's why I think, and Take-Two has always been very conservative with their guidance. Is probably why the stock, they'll come out and say, oh, it was an awesome quarter, but, our expectations, is that this may not last. Kind of what they've been saying in the conference calls. It might last longer than you think. So I'm full disclosure, I'm long Take-Two, I'm long EA, I'm long Glue Mobile. I sold my Activision Blizzard, but I might even rebuy it. I want to be long Zynga. It's had a good day. I'd like to rebuy that on the dip, and maybe these are the stocks I'm looking at. Upwork, another one that they were talking about in the chat, which Jason Raznick and myself were talking about. I played this to the long side for a few days, got out too early. It's pulling back here this morning after a great day. It's the kind of stock that will work, in a COVID environment. And we just, we don't want to talk the whole show about the virus, but I mean, it's not just Trump. I mean, I saw some stats like Europe, looking at the cases are higher overall in Europe now than they were in March. So you are fully in the second wave here now in a lot of areas. And yes, the death rate appears to be lower, which is a very good thing. But maybe that's people letting their guard down now too. And that's why it's going to continue to spread, because people are like, oh, it's just the flu. There's a lot more people arguing that it's just the flu. And who am I to say that it's not just the flu at this point in time? Because there's not, yes, there's, people dying, but they're not dying at the tune of 5, 6, 7% that they were dying back in March. So one of two things has happened: either virus this weekend, or it wasn't as deadly as we initially thought. And, it's still, I don't want to get it. I'm scared of it. I don't want to get it. But at the same time, I'm not scared of it like I was back in March with the unknown, where you were seeing 6, 7%. It's like, oh man, you get this thing, you got a 1 in 15 chance of dying. I don't think that's the case now. I think, the death rate is going to be significantly under 1%. And that's a good thing. So, but the bad news is that the virus is spreading, and there is still obviously, a lot of, in Europe, they're having, restaurants and bars closing again. They're doing, another shutdown here. So there's issues here for a lot of those reopening stocks.
Someone to also consider is, how do stocks that have had good news this morning, how do they play out today? Because that could also inform us just how freaked out the market is. So for example, Twilio and Tesla and NIO, we'll do all three of those at once, because they all.
I just will say one thing before we do that.
Yeah.
When I'm watching the NBA, I'm a little bit watching the NBA. Doesn't it kind of look like, I mean, the way they're doing things, doesn't it kind of making it look like a video game?
Well,
no, I'm serious.
That's because they're in the bubble, but yeah.
They're in the bubble, and just the way that they're using the cameras and stuff. It's weird. I'm telling you, it's weird. I'm weird, but it's weird watching this stuff. So anyways, people are getting bored. We're talking about the real world.
Well, let's go talk Tesla.
Well,
okay.
We have some news from Tesla this morning.
Yep, we'll do NIO and Tesla together here.
Sure.
NIO had deliveries they announced overnight. Tesla just announced them before the show started. So NIO's deliveries up 154% in the third quarter. Year over year, they delivered 12,206 cars. Last quarter, Tesla delivered, let me pull the exact total number, because I just pulled a few different numbers here. But Tesla deliveries were 139,300 in the quarter. And that was slightly above estimates. And then the company came out and said that that's a conservative number. So NIO and Tesla, both with strong quarters from a delivery perspective last quarter. And Tesla, you see on the chart, I don't know if you.
Sure, I'll put Tesla up first.
All right, yeah. So Tesla, I mean, open down is rallying though. So how the market reacts to stocks that have had good news today, for me, that'll tell me a lot.
It's hard, obviously the market outweighs most of stocks. Like I always say, you look at upgrades and downgrades, and when you have a big event like this and a big market whoosh, upgrades and downgrades, the effects get muted from it. But, on individual stock news, you can have obviously some wicked spikes. Tesla did bump up after they reported the deliveries. We were down at the 426 area, and we got up to 436 area. Kind of hanging out at 433, so we'll see what it does. I mean, Tesla ran to a wall of resistance of 450. So that's, just from a technical basis, is still the level there that it continues to struggle with. I am long NIO, full disclosure. Sticking with it as long as above 20, starts getting below 20, I might get nervous. But I think, a healthy retest of 20 is not a bad thing for NIO. I still think the story is intact here. At stocks in an uptrend. It made a new all-time high 2 days ago. I don't see why to get off the NIO train unless we really think the market's going for a landslide, and I don't think that's happening.
One number only in Tesla. That's 442.68, and that was the close. on the day before the split. And yeah, you've had that resistance a little bit above it, and you closed above it once or twice. But that, to me, you get a couple closes above 442.68, and it will just fly through that 500. If it can't do that, if it can't clear, get out of this area and this holds as resistance, then you may get another shot at 350. But that's the one number in Tesla. NIO, I see it in the red. Gave some back here yesterday, and I think we have two lows in the same area for NIO. Let me pull it up here. You sure do. I mean, I know you like it here, Dennis, and I know you're giving it down to under 20. I just think it, for me, I'm looking a little bit more short term. It better hold that 2076, 2083. Those are the last two sessions. If not, they'll be gunning for your $20 area. That's what I'm seeing on the charts in NIO.
We got 3 minutes before the jobs number here,
wow.
and we will see some movement here because obviously with as much, volatility as we're seeing, market makers have backed off. So you're just going to see natural volatility from the lack of liquidity. A lot of times people, cite volatility, and it's more a function of liquidity than it is anything else. And when you have crazy movement, you have market makers backing off their quotes. So there's less orders physically sitting in the book because people are not going to sit their orders up there to get picked off.
Especially today.
And, so it's going to go real wide. The SPY is going to go real wide. It's already 6-7 cents wide. It's going to go probably 30, 40, 50 cents wide here. Right before the number, and we're going to see what happens. I'm obviously going to back off my quotes too because I don't want to get picked off. So individual stock news, moving away from the autos just for a second. Let's go to Twilio because TWLO had guidance last night. The stock ripped higher on it, and it is holding up very well considering the market sell-off. Twilio is down almost nothing from where it was last night. It's up 9%. Whew. So big move for TWLO, trading up near its all-time highs. Joel, thoughts here?
Wow.
TWLO.
Yeah, 280, 279, 85.
Go charts, please.
Oh, and boy, you got up your 284.95 stands as your pre-market high. Oh, two highs right here to contend with. I would just wait for it to get up there. 288.88 is the all-time high. Another high at 286.99. Fact that we backed off doesn't make me as optimistic that we're going to get back up there because we are 10 points off it. A little bit of a weak market, but keep an eye on that. Let's just call it 280. Well, that's 287. That pretty much 287.50. That spots the those right in the middle of those two highs. All-time closing high comes in at 286.33. So if you're looking for some potential targets here, Triple D will let you step
I'm gonna
away.
go trade this number.
Yep. And I want to make sure that I cancel my orders here.
Yes, it's probably good.
I would. I really would be tempted to fade this thing at 338, but
All right, real fast, we're gonna get the number in 30 seconds here. Looking for non-farm payrolls last month of 875,000 versus 1.37 million in August. So we're expecting fewer jobs added in September than August. Unemployment rate expected to go down to 8.2% from 8.4% in August. So those are the two numbers here, the 875,000 and 8.2% on the unemployment. That's what we're watching for. Numbers are coming out here imminently.
all right. And we're just hanging out. Someone got a little excited, took us up to 33.30. Now we got some red here. We're testing the low of the last bar. What do you got for me?
661,000 non-farm jobs added last month. I mentioned that 875,000 estimate. So a big miss. Not as many jobs added last month as expected, and an even bigger decline from August than we thought. So 661,000 jobs added in September, 1.3 million jobs added in August. Big drop there. Unemployment rate 7.9%. So that's better than expected. Unemployment rate is going down. We went from 8.4% in August to 7.9% in September. So that number's getting there, but not as many jobs, far fewer jobs added last month than what were expected.
And I don't think you're going to see like this trend changing for a little while here, especially What was the spat of layoffs that we got this week, Spencer?
Yeah, the timing was conspicuous. It was Disney and Royal Dutch Shell and like 3 others off the top of
Allstate.
Allstate, yeah, a bunch of
Yep.
layoffs this week.
Yep.
Oh, there
And
were furloughs at the airlines.
oh, yep.
Yep.
Yep. So, but the market is ignored that information and really has rallied in the need, in the face of this. And you're kind of right back where you were. We were trading at 32.25 before the number. Someone got a little excited, took us up to 33.30, and took out the bar, that 33.20 bar, and now you're right back in the middle, folks. I think this is what you're going to be looking at. Not only today, but tomorrow, rest of the month, the election. I think there's just a lot of uncertainty in this market, and if you're a rage trader, I mean, this might be your time to shine. If you
It was crickets, really. I mean, you got a little lift, then a little dip, and then, like you said, we ended up right back where we were. I mean, the market is not concerned about looking back at the jobs for last month. We're now concerned about the president's health. So it's not surprising that whatever chop we got off that would just settle right back into the same area. So there's one concern here, and that is the president's health. And until we get more clarity on that, you're going to continue to see some chop. And it's going to be driven by those headlines going forward. So jobs number really wasn't important here, at least not right now.
And then also worth noting, private payrolls were better than expected. 877,000 private jobs added versus an 850,000 estimate. So yeah, it is what it is. Miss on the job, new jobs, beat on unemployment. I like what Daily Data just said in the YouTube chat. He or she is going back into their cave. They'll be back on Monday. That's a good way of approaching things. Just it just good. Today's going to be a week. It's not the worst day to just sign off the internet, your platforms, and just live your life.
It's the weekend.
Go for a hike. Go for a hike. Do something else.
One thing I'll say is don't chase. Don't be a chaser today and say, oh, I have to get in this move. I mean, think about the people who were chasing Rocket yesterday. And, they're buying it up after hours at 23. This is it. It's going back to 30. This is the move. And immediately, yes, they got, hammered with a bad headline about the president, but it just again and again in this market in the last few weeks, it is not paid to chase stocks. It is paid to wait, have your point, and then strike when it comes to you. Let it come to you, because we just seem to find a way to chop around. And I don't think that goes away. I think you're going to continue to see chop for the next 6 to 8 weeks ahead of the election.
That's not even that far away now. And just to compliment on what you're saying, Dennis, don't chase. Don't hesitate on a target. If you get a target, if you're in something, it meets your risk reward ratio, then take it, because I don't think it's going to be a day. I mean, or move your stop up, whatever your style of trading is, but don't, because this thing is going to turn. There's going to be, so many 10, 15 point rips and dips. I was this thing yesterday after the open, was doing some things, looking up midday, and I'm like, oh, 33.70. Oh, 33.55. Oh, 33.75. Oh, 33.60. I'm like, okay, throw my stops out there. Come and get me. Chop me up. I think that's going to be. I think you just stick to your, especially now, the more wilder markets get, the more you just need to stick to your discipline and, chop. I mean, in fact, I wonder if we're even going to see the average daily range start to go down now. I mean, it might be wicked within that range, but maybe we're just going to wind ourselves into like a tizzy, and then boom, break out to the upside or break down to the downside.
One thing I will say is, if you are underinvested and you've been waiting for a pullback here, and you've got, stocks that you want, the time maybe is today, like on a Rocket, if you really wanted it, and and some of these other stocks, and not only the stay-at-home plays. I mean, everything is down. I'm looking at my screen. There's literally everything down today. So if you've got a stock that you really wanted, and you want to buy the dip, and I don't think this is the type of market that's going to just epically collapse here. I don't think we're going down to like 3,000. I don't think this is the start of something bigger. I might be wrong. I don't think it is, though. I think we're going to have more headlines, and Trump's going to say, I feel good, and the market's going to go up on that. He might just tweet out, who knows, in an hour, he sees the market down. He's like, I'm feeling great. I'm asymptomatic. Market will rally to probably 20 handles on that. So, you know, like Spencer says, it was a great tip right off the hop when he was talking about watch Trump's Twitter feed. His tweets will move the market now. And we want to know about his health, and there's not going to be any better source than Trump himself. So I think, you know, you do watch Trump's Twitter feed. And if he comes out and says, you know, I'm feeling good, asymptomatic here, and we're going to beat this, I mean, you know, that could actually be and help the market out there. So I think point I'm trying to make is if you have stocks that you want to be in and you've been waiting for a dip, you're getting another dip here again today. So buying the dip, selling the rip has been the way to make money here. You're getting a significant dip here this morning. So if you're buying the dip, I'm not going to yell at you and say, what the hell are you doing? Like I said, I was buying the dip on a few stocks myself.
Now, I know you said not to chase, but think back to February. What were the very first stocks that were rallying off of coronavirus? It was APT, it was Lake, it was CODX,
yeah,
Novio, right?
Yeah.
Those were the stocks in February that were going like crazy when this thing first started. They're all up again this morning. Well, yeah. They're all
Lake? Did you throw Lake in there?
Yeah, he did.
Yep,
Yeah. Lake too.
Lake, APT, CODX.
Protective gear makers. So yeah. Lake, obviously, APT, both making PPE. And both stocks, Lake is bid up here this morning. It's trading up 50 cents. And then APT as well, Spencer's up $1. So
good call.
I don't think I would chase these though, because I think this is just the whipsaw. Oh, what are we going to buy here? We got to buy something. Let's go buy the PPE stocks because we're scared of coronavirus again. I think the better days are behind Lake. I know APT is really sold out from the highs. But you know, you look at Lake and you think, is it going back to 26, 27, 28 bucks? You know, this started back in the Corona, you know, back at like 11 and 12. So we're still up significantly from there. And I think rallies are actually to be sold in these stocks. So I'm not a fan of going in either of these stocks. I would not hide out in these thinking you're safe. I think actually I would sell the rallies in these stocks if they have significant rallies today.
We're good. We're not holding here, folks. That little pop, we are now below where we were when that number came out. I think hard to lean on 3,300 and a quarter. That was your pre-market low. Because lowest number I have on my sheet is 3287 and a half, and that was your low from Monday, and actually your close from last Friday. 30, and then that. Why did we have that dip on Wednesday? I cannot remember, but we went right to that area as well. So until we breach 3290, you know, with a vengeance, I'm looking for this maybe a 3300 to 34 trading range. We are kind of pressing down on the lower end of that range, but 3190, that's my huge support level. I must have what 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 stars there.
And then something else to think about. I caught this, you know, amongst all the headlines this morning that the House passed a relief bill, not expected to get any play in the Senate. So I don't think that will impact things at all. But there's also the relief package to think about. In addition to the president and the first lady having COVID and the election, there's also that. Don't forget about that. We still haven't gotten any clarity there. So you may see a headline.
I don't think you are. I don't think the Dems want a deal before the election, right? Because that would, you know, give a pop to the market. And they seem so far apart. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's just something, again, it's just one more thing to think about. As if we need
so many things to think about, Spencer. My head is exploding here.
Well, that's what I said. Whoever it was in the chat, maybe like pour yourself a martini for lunch and call it a day. You know, it's going to be.
I think I might actually take tonight off.
It's going to be one of those.
There, oh boy, Triple D's not going to trade a Friday night.
Yeah, so maybe I'll take off early. So,
all right, we're going to get Jason Raznick on in a couple of minutes. In the meantime, let's do some tickers from the chat.
Yeah, what's going on with the chat?
Yeah, Laura Dupp in the Benzinga chat asking about Beyond Meat. I'm hoping they don't have any news because if they did, I didn't see it. I doubt they did. I just think it's down with the market 2.7% today. Ouch.
It's the kind of stock though that has been hot, and you know, valuation can, you know, all that matters again is story, and the story is still intact. I have never understood, you know, why, you know, this vegan burger is better than any other veggie burger, but the market doesn't care. The market likes the story. The market has spoken. The technicals are speaking. This was a stock that was trying to make a new high again yesterday. I believe it did by a few cents, and it's pulling back there this morning. So this fits the bill. It fits the bill, the kind of stock you want to buy on the pullback, because these are the kind of stocks that just find another headline, they'll sign another contract with whoever, and the stock will pop $10 on it. So hard to fight the tape. I don't think this is the start of a reversal here in Beyond Meat. The purple Jeff Mackey purple crown perfectly intact. Probably even to get down to the 155 area. A little bit early, down 460 maybe. But if you're buying dips, these are the kind of stocks I'd buy the dip in.
Yeah, and I would just say, this 172.50 is really sticking out to me, because you had your highs from the last 2 days right there, 172.45, 172.69. So if you're looking for more upside, a potential target, you got to get above there and in post to close above there. Also, that's kind of flirting with your high going back in 2019. You had a 169.31 high. So this whole 170, 172 area is looming as major resistance as we speak. On the downside, you are down 480. If you're looking to exit on some weakness, your 2-day low was 163.84, call it 164. So the only reason I'd be hesitant to own the stock under that is your next daily low is not down to 159.15. And of course, the close is up at 170.60. So you got the resistance above. The resistance to me is much stronger than the support at this time.
And then before we wait for Jason, we'll keep on going here. I saw someone mention Alibaba. Dennis, didn't you mention you were long that overnight? Or did I mention that?
No, I'm long in my long-term portfolio.
They've made that up. Okay.
You know what? It did make a new high. That's somewhat concerning here. We knew the bogey was 299. It got up yesterday to 295, and then it peeled off. So it was already an ugly candle from yesterday that it was like getting rejected at the old high, and now you have the further rejection. I'm long Alibaba, sticking within the long-term portfolio. If I had on for a trade, I would actually look for rallies to sell in this.
Yeah, pair of highs, same area. Oh, yeah, just ahead of that all-time high. Pair of highs at 295. I'd use that close, 290.05, if you're looking to wiggle out of this thing. I know that's $5 from the high of the move, but if you get a pop to the close, I'd say the first time up there, that should be pretty good resistance. Could that be the all-time closing high too? No, the all-time closing high is up at 296.07. So keep an eye on the close on that one, on Alibaba, and kind of thin on support. What is your 2-day low? Your 2-day low is 83.71. So there's your short-term support.
All right. I saw someone mention NetEase, NTES. It is not down 80% today. They had a 1-for-5 split go into effect. So if you're seeing that, that's why. Don't freak out.
Adjusted close is $92.71. So it is actually only down 1.3% here this morning. So it's not even down as far as the market. So don't panic. You didn't lose all your money in NetEase.
All right. Well, last one quickly. I'm bringing Jason on now. Let's look at J&J real fast. Johnson.
Jay, we haven't talked about a normal stock in a long time.
Defensive, ugly candle yesterday. If this gets some life because we're trying to get defensive off the hop, I think it's to be sold. The 150 is just huge. It's struggling there. It's not a cheap stock. It hasn't been a cheap stock for a long time. And I feel like it's topping out. I don't know if eventually it gets above 155, it gets interesting again, but I'll say guilty until proven innocent.
Wasn't that one of your best stocks of the year a couple of years ago?
Might have been.
Yeah.
I don't trade J&J as much as I did. I'm trading all this Momo. The chat's got me in all these Momo stocks now. I used to always trade the boring. I'm like, oh, these exciting stocks. So I trade Workhorse now.
Bad influence. All right, Jason.
Bad influence is what it is.
Jason Raznick is the founder and CEO of Benzinga, joining us now on PreMarket Prep. Jason, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear? Wait, am I on mute or something?
Yep. No, we hear you. We see you.
All right, good. So exciting day in the neighborhood. Good morning to all Benzinga PreMarket Prep listeners. So we got some Tesla numbers, we got some employment numbers, we got some gambling stocks moving. This is the kind of day I like. And Spencer Israel wants to say something. Go ahead, Spencer.
Before we get to that, I mean, today's a good day to have you on, because I just want to know, as someone who went through this virus, right? You and your family had this virus. Can you? I don't know if we ever just asked you what it was like, really. Maybe we did when you first came on and told us you had it, but tell us again what it was like and how your work was limited, or like just tell us about what it was like to go through the virus, so you can sort of get a feel for maybe what the president could be going through.
I was in denial, like the Nile River, for the first couple days, so I didn't think I had it. We were exposed. We got on Sunday. We were exposed on Friday night. We got tested Monday morning or Monday afternoon. We should have got tested Tuesday morning because it may not have been like showing up at that time. And so then on Tuesday and Wednesday, I was at home and I was just like laying in bed. And I mean, just being frank, I didn't know what it was, why I was laying in bed. I thought maybe I was like maybe burnt out, which was weird for me, or I thought I was depressed. I didn't know, but it was like I was laying in bed because I was tired. I couldn't like move. Like I was just really, really exhausted. I thought like diet, whatever. I wasn't coughing. I didn't have a fever and stuff like that. And then what happened was Saturday we were having couples over to our house, and then Stacy, my wife, says she's not feeling good. I'm like, okay, this is her excuse not to have fun tonight. Go. So I'm like, go get tested. So she went and got the quick test, and she had it. And then we all went and got tested, and then I had it, and then Josh had it. And so it reoccurred for me like for 1 or 2 days where I was just like lethargic. Stacy was sick. She was in the basement, like had a cold, a mid-sized to bad cold. But day 7 to 10 or day 7, 8, and 9 is when I had headaches. I had headaches each night, and they were headaches that were like bad. I'm not a guy that gets a lot of headaches, and so maybe I'm a baby, but I took 4 Advils or Motrin, whatever it is, and they really didn't do much. So the worst part for me was the headaches at night. And then you guys know, like when you're really sick and you don't want to talk to anyone, like I was, for those 2 days when I was in bed, I was lethargic. I think it hits everyone differently. I do know this, and this is something that my friend runs part of a big hospital chain here. They have way less hospitalizations in Michigan for the last 3 months. It seems to be a weaker strand or some sort in Michigan. Maybe it's elsewhere too, but I'm not hearing the hospitalizations. I hear it's a cold, and then you had these headaches. And I was taking vitamin C. I took the stuff that they say works against corona. I was shocked my wife had it, and I was shocked that I had it. So those days I was in bed, I just thought I told you I was tired, but I guess I had it. And then
so I guess how long did it take really from diagnosis to get through it?
5 days. Well, from diagnosis, so Spencer, 2 things. I didn't have diagnosis originally. When those 2 days that I was in bed, I just thought I was like I thought it was just a weird thing I was going through. I was like, whoa, I'm just super tired. Not that I was burnt out. I was like, oh, maybe I was sad about something, but I had it. Okay. So the question is, how long did it take from when my symptoms occurred to being done? Right. I would say 8 or 9 days. Okay. It was 3 days in the beginning, 2 days in the beginning that and then it was like 3 days of nothing. And then towards the end is when I feel like when the headaches happen and the sense of smell happen is when it's ending.
Okay.
So I believe that Trump and, Melania may be okay, maybe not so many symptoms, but I believe like in 2 or 3 days, if, or 4 days, they're going to start having headaches. Like, that's what I believe. Like, I think that's one of the most common things. And they're not the typical headache you get. Like, you take an Advil and it goes away. It's not like that. It's longer.
So I think good point that you made about the hospitalizations. And I think like at the height of the pandemic, that was the thing that bothered, that worried me the most, is like, wow, the hospitals are full. When have there ever been a point in your life when if you were really sick, that either A, you didn't want to go to the hospital because everyone else there had it, and B, that they were full. And then the thing when my daughter Emily was covering, the deaths in Detroit and everything, when I drove her down there to take a picture of the refrigeration trucks because they didn't have enough, places to put the bodies and stuff. That's when I was like, holy moly. That was like at that, and we're nowhere near that. So I think that's something to keep in mind, is the hospitalization rate is much lower.
Yep, the hospitalization rate's lower, but also, they built those hospitals. We built one in our Cobo Hall, our TCF center, and 20 people went there, and they spent $6 to $8 million. But the truth is, like, I have a friend who's not, immune deficiency. He's jealous. I know it sounds weird, guys. He's jealous I got corona. He tried to get it because when you get it, the recurrence rate is so low that I can go in places. I'm taking my first trip next week. I have to go to New York for work, and I'm going Thursday morning, come back Friday night. But because I had Corona, it makes it, less likely that I'll get a recurrence and stuff like that. So in the winter months, and why I bought, some stocks for the winter months, because, restaurants need to, be able to have food. So they're going to have the heat lamps. So that's why we got UGI and SPH. And you want to transition to stocks now?
Yeah, I do. And that's just to wrap up on that. I guess we'll have to revisit this entire situation in a week or a week and a half and see how the president has progressed based on what you've said you went through. But yeah, what have you been buying?
I mean, and the president's a lot older than me, so that's the thing. But again, it affects things different. But what I do think, he'll have the best medical care, and he'll have that. And I think, I mean, it affects people differently. So you just never know.
You don't know.
Like,
exactly.
Like I kind of feel like today or tomorrow, guys, they're going to say it's a false positive, but I don't know. I do find it funny though. I have a lot of doctor friends who said that he for sure already had it. He had it and didn't tell anyone. He was lying. And now, it's out there. Everyone always thinks there's a scam going on, but whatever. It's noise, and I try to ignore it. Ignore it. So Dennis talked about it, and I know it's giving back some, but Upwork is finally playing out. I own a bunch of call options on it. I got tired of it for a bit. Upwork, again, is not a trade for me. It's something I'm going to own for 6 to 8 months. I'm trying to hire. Benzinga is trying to hire in every position possible right now. And Upwork, and there's a company called TopTail, and we're going hardcore and using these freelancing sites. If we're spending the money there, someone's making money. And a good trade has always been invest in what Benzinga buys. Invest in what Benzinga buys has always been a good trade. Ring Central, Twilio, Jeff Lawson. Just talked to Jeff. Jeff's the CEO. Just talked to him last week. Again, remember I went to middle school, elementary school, high school with Jeff Lawson. I've owned Twilio since the IPO. I didn't get pre-IPO shares, but I owned it since the IPO. I mean, look at the stock. And I didn't own it huge, guys. I owned it. Yeah, there you go. There's a nice long-term chart. Whoever did that, that's awesome. I owned it at $67. I think I bought, just to be honest, 100 shares then or something, and so the stock, it's a huge move. Again, our lesson here for the pre-market prep, when I come on, I like to talk about the thing behind the thing, Benzinga has been paying Twilio for 4 years for our text message alerts for Benzinga Pro and our Market 5 products. By the way, if I haven't said it, check out Benzinga Pro. Okay. Dennis, that's the good stuff. Anyway, so Twilio is the thing behind the thing. So if you're looking for a trade, maybe you sell today and take the strength.
Jason,
if you're looking for a long-term thing, go ahead, Spencer. Yes.
We've been using, I think since before I've been here, we've been using Asana.
I was going to go to the, yes. So Asana, I didn't buy yet. I wanted to see it come down a little bit because I think these stocks, just like one of my favorite stocks in the world, RKT, they go up and then they go down, but then there's chances to buy them. And so, Asana, I will be picking up. And one of the reasons I am, and this is where the Upwork thing comes in. I think the market is about finding intelligence before others find it. Now, if you're a technical trader like Joel, that's different. But so Asana, we know well. But one thing I can tell you about Asana, guys, is the last 6 months, their product speed and development speed has gone up tenfold. They're introducing so many things because there's a company called Notion that's not public that is pretty good, and Asana knows it, and they're starting to innovate in a real way. Another company, Atlassian, that I bought, Team's a symbol. That's another one in the space that you look at that's an example. We've been using that. Bought that one at, what is it? I bought it at $86, $88. I bought that one at Team. And so Asana, I think we'll have that trend. You're not going to go wrong. Now listen, I bought Slack, Work, WORK. Let's go to that chart. Do your long-term thing. Whoever's doing these charts is doing awesome. But put on Work for a second, because this is a tale of two cities here. All right, so I bought Slack at the IPO. Thought it was a no-brainer buy. Literally thought it was a no-brainer. I bought it at $35. Then I bought it at 32, 26, 17. Okay, so it doesn't always go straight up, and that's why I suggest when you buy a stock to buy in increments. And so my cost basis when I originally bought Slack, I really bought it at $35. I'm not lying to you guys. I bought my cost basis on it, and I can share my screen as $17.23. So they're not always going to go straight up because valuations, and you dollar cost average. I did that on Peloton. I started buying Peloton at 60 all the way down to 25. So those are the kind of things. Now, I got a bunch of messages yesterday about RKT yesterday, a bunch. So I just want to, if you guys are listening to the show, appreciate it, and let's talk RKT. I have told you guys I bought RKT. It's not for trade for me. It's a long-term position. Dennis has his long-term position. He talked about not Activision, but the other gaming stocks he owns. Made me want to buy some more gaming stocks, to be honest. I was playing last night with my son Josh, 9 years old, Fortnite on Twitch with Bryson DeChambeau last night. Like, we were talking to him. I have never played Fortnite or Bryson DeChambeau. It was what?
We don't know who that is.
Yeah, you do.
Are you joking?
Wait, who?
He's a golfer.
The U.S. Open winner.
I don't know golf. Maybe
He's the one that told
okay.
Jason to give up golf.
Yes, he did.
Right.
Yes, he did. And he told me to give up golf. And also, he's the U.S. Open winner, and he's the Rocket Mortgage Classic winner, and he'll probably be the Masters winner. He's going to put some. He's going to put some stuff. I have to get off subject for 1 second. He's going to put something on Instagram today or tomorrow. He used a 48-inch driver and hitting the ball so far, it's almost like that Happy Gilmore stuff. Wait till you guys hear the news from Bryson DeChambeau. In 2 days, it's going to go viral. I guarantee it. You heard it here first. Okay, RKT. So I bought RKT long-term portfolio. If you guys want to trade it, you guys, I know it's a trending stock. It's top 5 most traded. It's like active. It's trending every day. RKT announced some cool news with Realtor.com, but I will believe that you'll continue to see news and activity out of RKT. Here's the thing. The best day to sell RKT is always tomorrow. They're always innovating and doing stuff. And that's my position on it. So if you really want to know where I think, ask me in 3 months. I got 7 DMs on Twitter yesterday. I'm looking at it right now. 7 DMs on Twitter yesterday asking me about RKT. And so I'm not that good on the short-term thing. I would go to Joel and Dennis over me 10 times on that, but I'm a long-term holder. Okay, but I don't want to waste all the time on RKT. We got a couple other things playing out that we need to really talk about. Okay, so
deliveries.
Yeah, we're gonna go to that one. That's my next one after this. Well, okay, you don't have it up yet. VSTO, a lot of hit VSTO. This is one we've talked about for years on the show, or 6 months now. You guys, this election is crazy. Election's crazy. And when this election's crazy, people buy stuff like outdoor equipment, like guns and stuff like that. If you want to hedge and you want the craziness, just own VSTO as a hedge. Just trust me. This is one you just hang on to. I am not taking much action on it. There you go. And hey, lithium LTHM is over 9. I told you last week that I sold a lot of my common stock. I just have my options, and I still have a little common stock. So yeah, I missed some of the gain here, but I still kept my options. But too bad Tesla didn't buy or do that deal with LTHM. Yeah, they chose the other one. That was sad for us. I talked to my friend Gene about it, and that was sad. But it still got a little bit of a bid, but not what we wanted. And we're gonna go to Tesla now. Hey guys, hopefully you all got your t-shirts. We took care of that. If you guys use Robinhood, please send them an email about including Benzinga news on it. And if you already have t-shirts, let me know and I'll send you socks, Benzinga socks. They're cool. I think we're gonna get like Joel and Dennis's face on them or something like that. I don't know. They're not done yet, but we're gonna get those made. We have and if you didn't get a t-shirt, just send me an email, jason@benzinga.com, but send Robinhood to include Benzinga news. Now we're on to Tesla. Guys, I loaded up the truck again on Tesla. So when it went below,
Tesla?
Yes, I did. And this is the first time I did. I can show it. This is the first time I bought more Tesla in a long time.
You already own too much.
Yes, I already own too much. My portfolio was already like 60, 70%. But by the way, I sold some Tesla, right? I sold it after the split, but I bought some back around like in the high 3s. I bought a few call options. And I bought some, there's a police siren next to me. All right, I bought some common stock.
Detroit.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe someone got a ticket. I don't know. I just see a siren in my viewpoint. Okay, so I bought it. Here's why, guys. I believe we're going to see Tesla maybe before the end of the year between 500, 600, 550 to 600. There's a lot of positive momentum coming out. Wait till there's some announcements that I think will come out, and I bought some calls and I bought some stock. I'm not looking at the day trade on it right now. I'm holding on to this new stock I bought. I get a plan. It's 550, 520 to 600. There's some things that aren't out there on the company, so I wanted to get back in the thing. And people don't get Tesla. So you guys, if we went back on the show, I didn't do the show that much, but like back in the day, I would argue with Spencer Israel that there'd be a Tesla in every parking lot, and he thought I said that as a joke on the show to get like a reaction, and I didn't. I meant it. This is 3 years ago. People didn't talk about Tesla like the way they do now. I find these trends before the average person, or at least I try to, because I'm really always paying attention. And that battery day is like, I'm not a battery expert, but from the engineers who I watch, Sandy Monroe and these little markets on YouTube, it's so revolutionary how they're going to do it. The other automakers are so behind. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see Tesla selling 5 million cars a year. I mean, I wouldn't. The numbers are there. And then, and Elon Musk is there for the retail investor. I know he said he may spin off Starlink as a separate company. Maybe some shares go to Tesla. I don't know how that's all gonna work, but I bought some call options. I'll tell you, I bought 3 call options. I may sell one today, or if I don't sell it, I'll probably keep it for another 2 weeks, because they're Octobers. And so the longer you keep it, the duration you get hit on. So, but I back up the truck because of what I'm seeing. And when I'm talking to people looking for cars, they're now considering Tesla, people that would never consider it in a million years. I know battery day. So I sold before battery day because I thought it'd be overplayed. Tesla, I've been wrong, short-term durations, but Tesla to me played out like a musical. If I was an orchestra minister, it did exactly what I said it would do. I said battery day, it was going to get killed. I said it prior to it. I said to everyone, my brother-in-law bought call options, the weeklies for the battery day that week. And I have it on text message saying, you're going to get killed, because everyone thinks that Tesla is going to introduce 600-mile battery, 1,000-mile battery. Okay. That's what everyone kept saying. And I knew they wouldn't do that. No one understood. The reason I knew that, how can Tesla introduce 1,000-mile battery right now? If they do, guess what happens? All the resale values, the residuals of the cars they have on lease or bought get killed. So if you look at the history of Tesla over the last 10 years, they have never increased battery capacity by more than like 20% a year, because if they did, it would ruin all the residual values of the cars that are out there. So I knew that couldn't happen. So whatever the market thought about battery day, I knew it had to be a sell the battery day, because of what I was saying with if they introduce a battery that has 1,000 miles, the cars out there are going to residual values going to fall so much. So to me, it was the biggest no-brainer play, but you had to know the stock as well as I did, and I did. So what I did was I bought some puts prior to battery day. I bought not a ton. I didn't do a good hedge. If Dennis with me were on like a conference call that day when I did my puts, it was the day before battery day, I would have really bought the right insurance. I bought like a few puts when I should have bought like 50 puts. I didn't understand what I was doing.
I never buy enough puts when it's going your direction. It's like I never buy enough stock. I find a way to complain. It's like your stock goes your way. It's like I should have bought more, and the stock goes against you, and it's like you don't remember that one. That maybe I shouldn't have bought more. So
yeah, exactly. No, exactly. But to me, it seems so obvious that people thought 1,000-mile batteries coming, and I just knew it wasn't. And so now. That being said, long term, that battery stuff was way better than what I thought it'd be. They're going to be producing their own things. The costs are going to go down so much. They're going to have a $25,000 car. I mean, you guys, I feel bad because like gas station on the corner of the street, the market's going to change. You're going to see a Tesla. I used to say to Spencer Israel that you're going to see a Tesla, one Tesla in every parking lot. What I'm going to say right now, in 10 years, you may see a Ford in every parking lot. I don't know. Like, it's just like one of those points where if Tesla keeps going with its auto lineup, Tesla's going to be 70% of the market out there. That's how I feel right now. That's how I feel.
The story is still intact. And the story, we had Andrew left on the show this week, and he said, we asked him about story, and he said, story is everything. What we've been saying, what Mitch has been saying, what I've been saying. I mean, the story is perfectly intact here. You still have the wild card. I know they hit Tesla a little bit last night because it did not get added to the S&P 500 again. E-Trade was coming out, and some people were speculating that Tesla's going to come in, and it was POOL that got put in. Again, what the market doesn't consider, though, is Tesla is such a big weighting. You almost need to wait for a bigger company to come out as opposed to, trying to replace, a huge Tesla waiting with a smaller company, because all the last, it's been 4 companies have been added to the S&P 500 since we thought Tesla was going to get added. It was Pool, it was Catalent, it was Etsy, and it was Teradyne. These are all smaller companies. So I think, the S&P's got to look at, you can't, take out, one of these really smaller companies and replace with a huge one. So
well, another way, what about what's the rush? Someone said, like, is there?
Sure.
You
That's
know,
a good
like,
point.
I don't know. I don't know. And I mean, and by the way, you're right. That was a great segment with Citron Research and on the pre-market show. If you guys didn't hear it, I don't know if it was Wednesday or Tuesday, but listen to it on the podcast. It was great. And he's right. He was talking about the story with Dennis, and he was saying, Peloton and the crazy valuation. I thought I was so smart, so like I was smart on the Tesla battery day. I'll give me credit on that. But on Peloton, I wasn't smart. I had my position, but I sold 60% of it, or maybe 70%, when it reported that strong quarter that I went really long on. So I sold 70% like at $80 or $78. And now I have the 30% left. But I was like, and so when the story's intact. Now, by the way, if Tesla, if I do look at technicals too. So if Tesla just starts up a little bit, I may sell some, but then I would want to buy it back. Like that's what I did with battery day. I did some puts and then I bought it. Because listen, Tesla has some stuff to announce that they haven't announced, like the Tesla Semi and a few other things. And that battery being part of the car, like how airplanes, how the gas goes into the wings, it's so revolutionary that it's just going to change automobile manufacturing for like forever. And then using the steel, no one realizes the impact that battery day is about. And I'm like in shock by it still. And I think only a company like Tesla can do that because they can move so fast. And it's just an unbelievable story. Is the valuation too high short term? Sure. Is it too high? Is it going to grow into it? I believe that. And I believe there'll be other things coming from it. And the other thing, guys, where I say to these other automakers where it taught them to compete is when you order a car, you can get it customized online, you get delivered to you. Other automobile companies have big distribution. They have GM, they have a million, dealerships. So there's a lot of channel conflict. There's a lot of things that are in the way of them. So it's easier to get a fresh start. And it's also kind of why it goes back to Rocket Mortgage. Like, what's the best system to get a mortgage? Have like like the technology, like in the 3 months ago when rates were really low and they're still low, people are going crazy to get loans. Wells Fargo wasn't taking new clients on. Wells Fargo was not taking new clients, but Rocket was. So these companies that have better ways to do it, like Spencer Israel mentioned Asana, I look at these companies. Twilio, I mean, why wasn't Twilio created by a GE? I mean, I'm joking, but seriously, everyone knew like you need text messages to alert you when your Uber's coming, and who's going to build that? Like there should have been multiple vendors doing that, but they don't do it because every company gets in the way of innovation. And if you're not about innovation, your company slowly withers away. And so what companies are most innovative? Look at the stock prices and look what move over time. And innovation with revenue and earnings, those are killer combinations. So,
all right, Jason Raznick is the founder and CEO of Benzinga. Jason, thanks for the time today.
Thank you guys. I'm Jason at benzinga.com if you have any feedback. And if you send anything to Robinhood that they should include Benzinga News, send me a screenshot and I will make sure to get stuff to you. Thanks for having me on. And please have a great weekend and let's have a profitable week next week.
All righty. That'll be a wrap. We are just about at the lows of the pre-market session here, are we not, Joel?
We are 3300.25 is your pre-market low. Your Globex low from Monday, 87.50. You kissed that on Wednesday when you went to 91.25. So even if we do take out that pre-market low, still the big number to me is that 32.90. In fact, if we don't bounce there, then I'm looking for the old, ending the week on the lows and not much under 32.90. So if you are playing it from the long side, just be aware, we break that support level and there's a lot of downside.
President Trump is said to have minor symptoms.
I saw
That's
that.
why
Yep.
we're starting
Right.
to leak. New York Times reporting that. So,
That would be good news, though, wouldn't it?
well, everybody wants to be asymptomatic, right? So he's
Okay.
starting to have symptoms. So like, oh my goodness, he's getting sicker. You know, so I can kind of see. So that's why we're leaking a little bit
Okay.
too. Again, the headlines, the market's going to be driven by President Trump's health right now. I'm, you know, we can't predict how the virus is going to affect him. So to call this market, you know, it's very difficult. I would just say if you're underinvested and you're looking for a dip, you know, maybe you're buying. And if you're overinvested, when you get a rip, you're looking to sell. Buy the dips and sell the rips. The chop fest continues.
You don't have a Trump health factor indicator.
I need an app for
system.
that. You know, maybe I can get the Trump Health app here on, and it'll just alert me. You know, he's feeling better. Oh, he just threw up in the bathroom. You know, so anyways, you know, maybe we should invent that. Somebody could come and invent that. But no, I unfortunately don't have the Trump Health app yet. So please come out with that. I'll download it.
All right, today is going to be a week, everyone. You can always send us an email to complain or praise us, premarket@benzinga.com. Catch a replay of this show on our podcast on every major podcast platform. Let's see some more likes. Come on. We made it through the day, well, the morning.
Okay, I liked you.
We made it through the week.
I was the 171st like.
There we go. Thanks for that, Dennis. Thanks to everyone in our chats, both the Benzinga.com chat, the Benzinga Pro chat, and the YouTube chat. We appreciate all your participation there. Please remember, all the information from our show is meant to be used as informational purposes, not for investing or trading advice. Joel and I will be back at 3:40 p.m. Eastern time. Until
eternity away.
Yeah, everyone try to keep your heads on straight until then. Have a good one.